5 macro skills in language.
So for today's lesson, we will talk about the 5 macro skills. Second, the macro skills in lesson plan. Third, the importance of macro skills. And then developing the 5 macro skills. So there are 5 macro skills that we must need to communicate effectively. Macro skills refers to the primary, key, main, and largest skill set relative to particular context. So it is commonly referred to in English language. So we have the 5 macro skills. They are first, listening. Second, speaking. Third, reading. Fourth, writing. And then fifth, viewing. Again, we have the 5 macro skills, and then they are listening, speaking, reading, writing, and viewing. Each skills has its reason for why we should knowledgeable on how to communicate using the macro skills. Being good at only one of these communicative skills will not help us smooth away the difficulties in communicating. These macro skills can make a big difference in your workplace, in social situations, and personal achievements. Learning and consistently seeking to improve these macro skills are important for effective communication and being successful in many different perspectives. Ideas, emotions, opinions, and feelings need to convey in different manners and a variety of ways. So now let's define listening. So listening is the most important skill in communication. Also, these communication techniques requires the listeners to understand, interpret, and evaluate what he or she hears. It is the ability of a person to hear and receive a message and to be able to understand the information accurately. Also, listening is the ability to accurately receive and interpret message in communication process. And also, it is the key to all effective communication. Without the ability to listen effectively, messages are easily misunderstood. Also, communication breaks down and the sender of the message can easily become frustrated or irritated. And some activities po na pwede sa grades 1 to 3 bring me, katulad na lang po nung pina-activity ko po kanina bago tayo mag-start. And also, pwede rin naman po siya from grade 1 to 6. And for grade 4 to 6 naman, pwede rin naman po is watching films of model with communication skill po or enforce active listening and also ask open-ended question. So now, sunod po tayo is speaking. So, speaking, language is a tool for communication. We communicate with others, express our ideas, and know others' ideas as well. In primary school, elocution and recitation are the main sources to master the sounds, rhythms, and intonation of English language through simple reproduction. So, other examples naman po na pwedeng activities para po sa speaking for grade 1 to 3, oral with rewards, comparing a picture, describing, and storytelling. Also, for grade 4 to 6, pwede po tayo magpa-roleplay, brainstorming, interview, story completion, or reporting po. So, sa pamamagitan nga po nito sa speaking, ma-express po nila yung mga ideas nila, and ganoon din sa bawat isa, makakapag-share din po sila ng mga ideas nila na patungkol dun sa mga activity po na ibibigay natin sa kanila. So, now, sunod naman po tayo is reading. Reading is the fundamental skills for learners, not just for learning, but for life, with reading being defined as the ability to draw meaning from the printed page and interpret this information appropriately. Reading is a learning skill. It helps you improve all parts of English language like vocabulary, spelling, grammar, and writing. It helps to develop language intonation in the corrected form. Then, the brain imitates them, producing similar sentences to express the desires of meaning. Also, reading po ay imagine that what your life would be like you didn't know how to read. Approximately only 80% of the world's population is reported to be able to read. At using skimming naman po or scanning techniques to read quickly is highly effective po, while reading underlining of keyword is a must. Reading skills helps the student grasp the content and draw conclusion. And other po, reading skills developed includes the ability to comprehend and use both listening and speaking. because you need to first hear a word before you can say a word before you can read it, and read a word before you can write it. So next po ay writing. Writing provides a learner with physical evidence of his achievements and he can measure his improvement. It helps to consolidate their grasp of vocabulary and structure that complements the other language skills. It helps to understand the text and write composition. Also, writing po, it can fosters the learner's ability to summarize and to use language freely. To write flawless language, one should excel in writing skills. Importance should be given to composition and creative writing. There has four main goals for student achievement. First, to write clearly and creatively to convey a message. Second, to communicate ideas, thoughts, feelings, and experiences. Third, to understand what writing is a reflective and interactive process. And the last one is to understand the different purposes, audiences, and forms of writing. So for the last po is viewing. Viewing enhances listening skills when students attend to nonverbal communication and visual elements of performance, video, television, film, and multimedia presentation. Also, viewing po is a process that supports oracy and literacy, understanding visual images, and connecting them to accompanying spoken or written words. It involves interpreting the images for which words stand and connecting visual images in videos, computer programs, and website. At may mga activities po na pwede tayong pagawa sa kanila. For grade 1 to 3 po, pwede po tayo mag-order ng flashcards, short videos, and photographs po. Pagdating naman po sa grades 4 to 6, pwede po tayong magpagawa or magpanood ng mga videos, multimedia, and web pages po, comics, newspaper, and chart. So, dako na po tayo sa sunod. Macro skills in lesson 10 po. Language teachings covers 4 or 5 macro skills needed for communicating: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Good language teachers plan lessons and sequences of lessons which include a mixture of all the macro skills rather than focusing on developing only one macro skill at a time. And macro skill po in this listening and speaking are oral skills. Reading and writing are literacy skills. Each week, teachers should include some activities which focus on developing the students' oral skills. For example, pair and group interactions and games. And some activities which focus on literacy skills are reading and analyzing text, and then student writing their own. And the 4 skills can also be grouped in another way. Listening and reading are receptive skills since learners need to process and understand the language being communicated to them in spoken or written form. Speaking and writing are known as productive skills since learners need to produce language to communicate their ideas in either speech or text. Also, it is common po for language learners to have stronger receptive than productive skills, that this they can understand more than they can produce. Teachers often link activities to develop student receptive and productive skills. So, sa madaling salita, pag po, sabi po dyan, focusing on developing only on one macro skills at a time. So, pag gumagawa po tayo ng lesson plan sa mga student, wag na po tayong mag-focus lang sa isang macro skills lang na pwede nilang ma-adapt or makuha or matutunan. Kundi, pag-focusan po natin yung 4 or yung 5 macro skills. Nang sa ganon, marami po silang matutunan. So, next po, the importance of macro skills. The learner's ability to speak is marvelous and his mastery in other areas of learning such as listening, reading, and writing give a clear indication that he has the distinct opportunity of being a learner of a fantastic classroom teacher. Also, it is something that can bridge you between the unknown word and the known word with sufficient information to dish out. Likewise, it's about expressing and conveying your thoughts, emotions, notions, and concepts to other human beings. So next, the importance of macro skills in communication. The macro skills have 4 skills, which are listening, talking, reading, and writing. Therefore, the macro skills is important in communication, so we can communicate and understand each other. So also, listening is the most important skills po in communication. It is a communication technique that requires the listeners to understand, interpret, and evaluate what they hear. Talking is the vocalization of human communication. Reading, involving word recognition, comprehension, fluency, and motivation. Writing, writing is an act of discovery and discovery of communication. Therefore, the macro skills are connected or important in communication because all of the skills are needed in communication. Developing the macro skills. So, developing the macro skills, we have listening. Listening is the ability to accurately receive and interpret a message in the communication process. Listening is the key to all effective communication. Without the ability to listen effectively, messages are easily misunderstood. Communication breaks down, and the sender of the message can easily become frustrated or irritated. So, tandaan po natin, listening is not the same as hearing. Why? Because hearing refers to the sounds that you hear, whereas listening requires more than that. It requires focus. Listening means paying attention not only to the story, but how it is told, the use of language and voice, and how the other person uses his or her body. In other words, it means being aware of the both verbal and non-verbal messages. Your ability to listen effectively depends on the degree to which you perceive and understand these messages. So, meron po tayo mga ilang strategy na pwedeng gawin pagdating when it comes to listening. Una, keep your expectation simple. So, whatever method you use for listening, teaching listening, give a few instructional tips nga po in mind that will help both you and your student navigate the learning process. So, keep your expectation simple, as even the most experienced listeners would be unable to completely and accurately recall the entirety of a message. Second po is keep your directions accessible. So, ano po ba ito? Sabi po, keep your directions accessible and build in opportunities for students not only to ask clarifying questions but also to make mistakes. Third, help your students navigate their communication anxiety by developing activities appropriate to their skills and confidence level, and then strengthen their confidence by celebrating the ways in which they do improve no matter how small. Tandaan din po natin na good listening lessons go beyond the listening task itself with the related activities before and after listening. So now po, proceed po tayo sa speaking. Speaking, it is a good strategy that really works when we have learners who lack confidence in their ability to participate successfully in oral interaction. Often, listen in silence while others do the talking. One way to encourage such learners to begin to participate is to help them build up a stack of minimal responses that they can use of different types of exchanges. Minimal responses are predictable, often idiomatic phrases that conversation participants use to indicate understanding, arrangement, doubt, and other responses to other speakers is saying. Second, recognize scripts. Some communication situations are associated with predictable set of spoken exchanges or a script. Greetings, apologies, compliments, invitations, and other functions that are influenced by social and cultural norms often follow patterns or script. To do the transitional exchanges involved in activities such as obtaining information and making purchases. In these scripts, the relationship between a speaker's turn and the one that follows it can be often anticipated. Also, we can help our student to develop their speaking ability by making them aware of scripts for different situations so that they can predict what they will hear and what they will need to say in response. Also po, using language talk about language. Language learners are often too embarrassed or shy to say anything when they do not understand another speaker, or when they realize that a conversation partner has not understood them. In this case, you can help your student overcome these resistance by assuring them that misunderstanding and the need for clarification can occur in any type of interaction, whatever the participants' language skills levels. You can also give students strategies and phrases to use for clarification and comprehension check. So before we develop some activities po with our student, we have to make emphasize in our student that the aim of the activity is not just to speak. It is more about to speak, such as it is possible and have a good pronunciation of the word. So suggestions din po for teachers when teaching speaking po. First, provide a minimum of opportunity for students to speak the target language by providing a rich environment that contains collaborative work, authentic materials, and thus ensured knowledge. So dito po, bigyan din natin sila ng opportunity na makapagsalita or makapagbigay ng mga ideas nila or yung mga knowledge nila about sa isang situation. Second, try to involve each student in every speaking activity. And third, reduce teacher speaking time in class. Step back and observe student. Indicate positive signs when commenting on a student response. Third, ask eliciting questions such as, what do you mean? What do you reach that conclusion? In order to prompt student to speak more. So, pagdating sa speaking, mahalaga po na at lagi din naman po itong tinuturo sa atin na as a teacher, kailangan give and take si student at si teacher. At nang sa ganon, maboost din nila yung confidence po nila when it comes to speaking nga po. And sa pagtuturo din natin, tayo po sa future, mahalaga na isa-isip talaga natin na mabigyan din natin ng chance yung bawat bata na makapagsalita at makapagbigay ng ideas nila. Though ang mga bata naman po ay madaldal, pero hayaan lang po natin sila na magbigay, magsabi ng mga thoughts nila. Para nang sa ganon, hindi mawala yung confidence po nila pagdating po sa pagsasalita. Next po ay reading. Reading is the process of looking at a series of written symbols and getting meaning from them. When we read, we use our eyes to receive written symbols such as letters, punctuation marks, and spaces. And we use our brains to convert them into words, sentences, and paragraphs that communicate something to us. Reading can be silent in our head or aloud so that other people can hear. Reading is a receptive skill. Through it, we receive information. But the complex process of reading also requires the skills of speaking so that we can pronounce the words that we read. In this sense, reading is also a productive skill that we are both receiving information and transmitting it, even if only to ourselves. Do we need to read in order to speak in English? The short answer is no. But because some native speakers cannot read or write, but they can speak English fluently. On the other hand, reading is something that you can do on your own that greatly broadens your vocabulary, thus helping you in speaking and in listening and writing. Reading is therefore a highly valuable skill and activity, and it is recommended that English learners try to read such as possible in English. So we have po skimming, scanning, extensive reading, and intensive reading. So first, we have skimming. Skimming is used to quickly gather the most important information or gist. Run your eyes over the text, not important information. Use skimming or quickly get up to speed on a current situation. It's not essential to understand each word when skimming. Also, skimming is when you read through the piece of writing quickly to see what it is about. And scanning, it is used to find a particular piece of information. Run your eyes over the text looking for the specific piece of information you need. Use scanning on schedules, meeting plans, etc. in order to find the specific details you require. If you use words or phrases that you don't understand, don't worry when scanning. And also, scanning po is when the page with your eyes to find answers to question. And extensive reading or yung malawak. Extensive reading is used to obtain a general understanding of a subject and includes reading longer texts or pleasures as well as business books. And the last is intensive reading or masinsinan. Intensive reading is used on shorter text in order to extract specific information. It includes very close, accurate reading for detail. Use extensive reading skills to grasp the details of a specific situation. In this case, it is important that you understand each word, number, or fact. So next po, writing. So writing is the process of using symbols, letters of the alphabet, punctuation, and spaces to communicate thoughts and ideas in a readable form. Writing can also refer to the work, career of an author, as in Shakespeare didn't make much money from writing. Generally, we write using a pen or pencil by handwriting or a keyboard by typing. With a pen or pencil, we usually write on a surface such as paper or a whiteboard. A keyboard is normally attached to a typewriter, computer, or mobile device. Voice recognition programs allow to those who can see or use their hands to have their thoughts transcribed. So using this strategy po, yung use stickers, give creative inspiration, read, let mistakes go, and give inspirational tools. So, una, use stickers. Use stickers to inspire your student to write while they have fun decorating the page. Gather a variety of stickers such as people, animals, places, props, and etc. But cut them into individual pieces, then throw all the stickers in a bag, then shake it half. Let your student choose between 3 and 5 stickers depending on their language level. More sticker for more advanced writers, and then have them incorporate those people or objects in a story of their own creation. Next po, we have give creative inspiration. So, in this po, when you take time to and effort to inspire your writers, it is sure to show in their writing and create a scene, draw a picture, collect interesting photos, or teach them appealing vocabulary. Then ask your student to use what you have prepared as inspiration for their own composition. Then let your student write and see how the creativity flows. Then third po is read. Reading is one of the greatest way to inspire writers in your class. Choose a poem or a short piece of literature to read as a class. Then have students use the selection as a model for their own compositions. Then, they can either follow the structure and style of what you read, or just write about the same content. Either way, the great writers will came among you when you give them great things to read. And then, let's mistake go. When students are overcorrected, they can become discouraged or fearful of writing. Try some free writing or give your student permission to write freely in a journal. Make sure that they won't be correcting for grammar or spelling. Then have students use what they wrote as a starting point for a more formal piece of writing which will you to correct. Then give them inspiring tools. You can give your student creative inspiration in a writing center of your classroom. Even if you don't have 4 colored pens for the entire class, on a spare desk, set out several different colors and types of paper with colored pens and pencils. Include pencils and markers that are seated as well. You have find your student right here, so then they can use a different type of paper or color pen. So for the last one po, we have viewing. Viewing, it is important that students are aware that understanding the viewing process is as important as understanding and listening and reading process. Students should understand that effective, active viewers. So we have the pre-viewing, during viewing, after viewing, or responding. Previewing, students prepare to view by activating their schema or the prior knowledge they bring to the study of a topic or theme. Anticipating a message, predicting, speculating, asking questions, and setting a purpose for viewing. So for during viewing naman, you have students view the visual text, understand the message by seeking and checking to understand, by making connections, making the confirming predictions and inferences, interpreting and summarizing, posing and reviewing, and analyzing and evaluating. Students should monitor their understanding by connecting to their schema, questioning, and reflecting. For the last one, after viewing or yung response, students should be given opportunities to respond personally, critically, and creatively to visual text. Students respond by reflecting, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. And that's all po. Thank you for listening.